Thorpe Park is one of the UK's biggest and best theme parks. However, in my opinion, it has a large identity crisis and multiple areas of the park are in dire need of investment and improvement. There has been a severe lack of investment in roller coasters and other larger rides and attractions within the park, instead focusing on using rides that use intellectual property and making some other decisions which have not gone over well with enthusiasts and fans of the park. So with all that being said, if I was in charge of Thorpe Park, this is how I would fix Thorpe Park Resort and make it one of the best theme parks here in the country. Welcome to Coasternaut, and if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe for future updates and news on Thorpe Park, especially with the opening of the new roller coaster Project Exodus in 2024. One of the major issues with Thorpe Park is the lack of investment in new roller coasters, especially over the last decade. The last new coaster added to Thorpe Park Resort was the Swarm in 2012, a B&M wing coaster. This is finally being addressed and changed in 2024 with the addition of a brand new Mack Hyper roller coaster with Project Exodus. This is likely to become the new best roller coaster here in the UK at any of our theme parks. From the layout we've seen so far, this is going to be a very intense airtime filled, full of inversions coaster, very unique and will work wonders for the park, but there is still more work to be done on the coaster front. Thorpe Park has some fantastic coasters already, such as Stealth, the Intamin Accelerator Coaster, Nemesis Inferno, which is the B&M Invert, and Soar the Ride, which is the Gerstlauer Eurofighter. However, there are still lots of gaps within Thorpe Park's coaster lineup. Exodus will fill the gap of having a truly standout coaster. Like I say, they have some good coasters, but nothing which is truly world class and truly puts Thorpe Park on the map as having a top 10 potential coaster. And Exodus could fill that. Like I say, I think it truly will be the best coaster here in the UK and one of the most elite coasters in the world. Even if it is just one of the most unique, even if it doesn't end up being one of the best coasters, it is definitely going to remain one of the most unique coasters in the world and truly give Thorpe Park a standout unique coaster. So before 2030, I still think there are two gaps which need to be filled in the next 6 years. It doesn't have to be back-to-back editions, but obviously with Exodus in 2024, maybe you have the smaller of these editions in 2026, and then another one in 2029, 2030, something like that. So I would add both of these new coaster types to the park. First of all, like I say, in 2026, I would add a modern-day family thrill coaster, likely from a manufacturer such as Vekoma or Intamin. This would be extremely beneficial for the park. The only family coasters at the park right now are obviously the Flying Fish Junior coaster and the Walking Dead The Ride, which is, it's in terms of the actual coaster itself, it's a family thrill coaster, but it's themed very darkly, and therefore they don't truly have any coaster which is properly themed towards families and family thrill. So a coaster like this would be truly beneficial to the park. A coaster like Javelin from Intamin, a family multi-launch coaster, or potentially dueling Vekoma family boomerangs would be super unique for the park, and both of these coasters would have good throughput as well, which is imperative for a park as popular as Thorpe Park. So these would provide a fantastic family coaster whilst also having good throughput and won't be too expensive for the park. Both of these coaster editions would be great and would dramatically improve the coaster lineup, as well as making it a much more well-rounded lineup. On top of that, like I say, the bigger edition of these two would be in 2029 and 2030, and I would add a large GCI wooden coaster focused on airtime rather than inversions. Thorpe Park and the UK as a whole has many coasters focused on inversions and not enough airtime focused coasters. I think Project Exodus will do well in solving having some super intense ejector airtime. Some of the outer banked hills and airtime hops on that ride look as if they're going to absolutely crazy throw you out of your seat, and like I say, that will be some of the most intense airtime in the world. But having something which isn't truly that thrilling but can still provide some good ejector airtime and some little pops and whippy transitions and turns, something like a classic GCI wooden coaster would work fantastic for the park. I can't see this happening soon because, like I say, Wicker Man opened in 2018, and from a marketing standpoint, I think it does need to wait a while. But this would work fantastic for the park. And for anyone that doesn't know, Thorpe did plan on having a wooden coaster originally before Soar the Ride, but they did instead decide to go with the plans for Soar the Ride. So this is something that Thorpe knows they need to add and have thought about adding to the park before. So yeah, before 2030, a family Vekoma or Intamin coaster and a GCI wooden coaster. Onto the flat ride department now, and over the last few years the park has removed favourite flat rides such as the Slammer, and Thorpe has a decent quantity of flat rides, especially compared to other parks here in the UK such as Alton Towers. However, a lot of them are often closed and have maintenance issues like Samurai, and due to their age, a lot of these rides are quite old and not up to modern day standards and are not very unique and can be found at parks all over the world. So I would start by adding multiple new flat rides, by buying a package of flat rides from Zamperla. Zamperla are one of the best modern day flat ride manufacturers in the world, with fantastic models such as the Nebulas and Disco Coaster and the Air Race, and more of these should be added to the park, potentially alongside a proper thrilling drop tower or Starflyer. If they can get the height restriction and planning permission sorted for those kind of rides, that is, I know with Exodus it seems as if they've sort of got around potentially building high rides, but in the past I know they've struggled to get potential planning permission to build some super high rides. So by theming these sort of flat rides up and by placing them all around the park, that can really once again add to the throughput, massively improve the capacity of Thorpe Park by adding these new rides in, and would really give Thorpe Park some modern day flat rides that they can be proud of, and would be a true joy to ride for guests of all ages. Like I say, get some family flats in there as well as some thrilling flats, and dot them all around the park, add to throughput, and also take some of the lines away from some of the coasters, and potentially then, once these new flats have been added, potentially look at removing some of the older flats that don't have the greatest of reliability and track records, and things like the Slammer, that's just SB&O. It's been there since it closed and needs removing because it makes the park look bad. And please, Thorpe, no more IP rubbish rides like the I'm a Celeb experience or the Black Mirror Labyrinth. Thorpe has had so many of these trashy rides over the years that don't stick around for long, and we need to stop focusing on that and focusing more on the permanent flat rides that can be well themed. And talking of theming and themed areas, this is the final thing that I would change before 2030. So we've spoken about the new coaster editions. I would also add a package of Zamperla flat rides, but the Thorpe themed areas are a real mess and very all over the place. I think the ride situation can be sorted quite easily with the right investment, but I think theming really does need a whole revamp across the park, as well as the branding. Angry Birds Land to start with, don't even need to go into this. No one plays Angry Birds in 2023 anymore. It's a very outdated land, even for kids and juniors, and a modern day family and junior area is desperately needed. Remove Angry Birds Land, sorry, and remove this and replace it with a fantastically new themed family area. Something like Vikings, the new Drayton Manor area for 2023, fantastic. It just shows what a park smaller than Thorpe can really do when they put some thought into theming. Fantastic area, like I say, they have some Zamperla flats in there as well and a rethemed coaster. It is quite easy to retheme an area and make it look fantastic by adding in some new rides and theming. Areas like the Amity Speedway are also very messy. This area is split into two. Stealth is on one part of the Amity Speedway, and that's on sort of the back right side of the park. And then the other area of Amity Speedway is near the centre of the park, near the toilets and Megastore and the kebab shop which is there. And like I say, it's a real jumbled up mess. So overall, like I say, Thorpe needs a whole revamp with lots of new modernised themed lands to a much higher standard than what is currently there. I wouldn't mind if the same themed areas were used and just modernised and improved, or if Thorpe decided to go with entirely new themes and creating new lands entirely. Painting and TLCing all the rides, adding new coats of paint, adding new theming items and props, and improving the plazas and stuff all around the areas. But this truly does need to be done, and that's how I would personally fix Thorpe Park. So in the next 6 years, to round off, I would add a new family thrill coaster like from Vekoma or Intamin, such as Boomerangs or an Intamin Launch, and a new modern day family thrilling wooden coaster from GCI packed with some airtime and whippy transitions and turns. And finally, I would add thrilling flats as well as some family flats and an overall improvement of theming and the theme lands at the park. So what did you make of this video? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comment section down below. Do you agree with what I think needs improving about Thorpe Park Resort? And what would you do to the park if you had the chance to fix it and you were in charge of Thorpe? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on how you would change the park. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, it really helps out the channel. Subscribe to Coasternaut for more videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.